Oh, sorry, didn't see you there, my dear viewers. I was just praying to Father Ultra himself for a good video. Without further ado, I've got my coconutty tea. Let's get into my top 5 Ultraman versus Godzilla dream matchups from both series. And be sure to let me know in the comments what your favorite particular matchups are and why. What kind of fights you want to see, huh? And of course, disclaimer, if I were like to make these fights happen, they would be in full-on tokusatsu because every day is a tokusatsu day. Now, for my first number 5 spot, I would have to pick Destoroyah versus King of Mons. Now, why is that? I feel like in terms of these two creatures, these monsters, these characters, they both have that sort of final boss feel, but they have a bit of a caveat to them, right? Of course, Destoroyah fought Birdon Godzilla, so Destoroyah already, he was kind of the baby face in the match, despite doing some pretty bad things, you know, but I think Destoroyah, the way that it can evolve, it has separate forms, it can still break apart into its more aggregate, smaller crab forms. I forgot to put the figures up here. I have like the old Crumble Zone, Destoroyah, Bandai America figures too. And of course got like his flying form, and then you have his big ultimate destroyer form. So I think Destoroyah would be a great match against King of Mons from Ultraman Gaia Battle in Hyperspace. Mainly because, like I said, the evolution and that King of Mons himself can break apart and make two other like sidekick forms. You know, that ground form that can go in the water, and then his flying form that can go all the way to space. So I think that this could be a pretty cool matchup. They both have different ways that cancel each other out. King of Mons has like, you know, his more of like his energy-based beam and shield abilities, and it's just that like whole mouth on his chest that can just eat you up. And then, you know, Destoroyah kind of similar-ish, like, you know, silhouette in a way. He's got that energy-based katana that can just almost cut through anything. But I feel like they might even each other out. I feel like King of Mons probably does have more firepower technically, but Destoroyah can take a lot of damage and, you know, doesn't like extreme temperature. But King of Mons is, you know, an imagination-based monster, wish come true in a bad way. So I feel like just these two, they might have a really good stalemate, maybe. And when it comes to them both breaking off into other forms, just making like, you know, a mini army fight going on of all the different Destoroyahs and then King of Mons' other forms, I don't know, it could be pretty interesting. You know, I feel like it could go either way, really. But so for my number 5 spot, I have to say, you know, the end of the 1990s characters, Destoroyah versus King of Mons. Let's have it happen, please, Supraya. You already have a King of Mons suit. Just make Toho make a Destoroyah suit. You know, if you're gonna ever do like a big, I guess you can call it Godzilla fight with Ultra Monsters, and you know, just they have money, they can make a few more suits. I know Toho has the money too. So for my number 4 spot, that's gonna be Mechagodzilla against Earth Garon. Now, I didn't bring out my Showa Mechagodzilla, it's on my main shelf, and I don't have an Earth Garon figure, but I think that Earth Garon and Mechagodzilla, namely Showa Mechagodzilla or Monsterverse Mechagodzilla, those two, the more evil ones, would be a good matchup to fight against Earth Garon from Ultraman Blazar. Or if you want to get cheeky, you could have the Kiru Mechagodzilla, because he also has the shoulder cannons that Earth Garon would have too. But Earth Garon, he can fly with his jetpack, he has a beam, he has missiles, he has all kinds of cool little trinkets on him, and he has his own personality due to the AI that developed its own sentience and personality that help the members of the Earth Strike team in Blazar. And I feel like that Earth Garon, he's just like Mechagodzilla, but with really good heart of gold. Yeah, there's no way he's gonna turn evil at all, unless, you know, he got controlled by that one of the alien invaders earlier on the show. But I think that I feel like Earth Garon would be a great matchup against Mechagodzilla, particularly Showa, because, you know, Showa Mechagodzilla is very powerful, and Monsterverse Mechagodzilla as well. Like, sure, Monsterverse Mechagodzilla did a lot of cool physical attacks because he was CGI, but don't count that out against a good old tokusatsu portrayed character. I feel like Earth Garon has some nice tactical surprises. He could really put up a great fight against any Mechagodzilla, but particularly if like the Monsterverse Mechagodzilla or Showa Mechagodzilla 1 or 2 would be a cool fight. You know, they could be attacking a city and Earth Garon's deploy the fight back, and you could have a lot of fun there. Who knows, throw in Ultraman Blazar to help Earth Garon if it gets really tough, because that tag team fight that Earth Garon and Ultraman Blazar had against that super monster in the Ultraman Blazar movie at the Tokyo Diet Building was perfection. I said it in some of my older videos, but that was like the first time we had a real tokusatsu scale diet building model since Godzilla Tokyo SOS, which, what do you know, it had Mechagodzilla. So it's poetry, damn it, it's poetry. But that would be my number 4 spot, because I think that's just a good old mecha, monster fight, and Earth Garon's clearly inspired by Mechagodzilla. Why not? Why not, man? And for our number 3 spot, good stuff. I'm gonna have to say Rodan, namely Showa Rodan, against, let's see, Birdon. Now, why Birdon? No, it's not just because he's a bird like Rodan, but I gave a lot of thought, I was like, maybe Rodan can fight, there's my little Funko Ultraman Jack, Terrachilis. Remember Terrachilis from that 2-parter in Return of Ultraman? I was like, maybe, or, the Hydra from the original Ultraman show, or, was it Noisler? I think he was from Ultraman 80, but he was also in Ultraman Arc, that guy, kind of like a more, bat dinosaurian monster. All flying guys, or, anyone else that can just fly out of free will. I don't know, so I get more thought, maybe he could fight Gomez. It's Gomez's, Godzilla and Ultraman form, Ultraman monster. But I feel like Showa Rodan, he was always a punk, a bit of a prick to Showa Godzilla, when it comes to their fights. So I feel like if anybody should fight Showa Rodan, it could be a 56 design or a 64 or 65 design. But Rodan's a tough guy. In the Showa era, I feel like that was when Rodan was at his toughest. You could take a beating, you could just take all kinds of attacks, Godzilla's atomic breath, Ghidorah's gravity beams, you could keep fighting. You run to space with Godzilla. So I feel like Showa Rodan has a lot up his sleeve, and he could really just, have a pecking fight with Birdon. And Birdon, he killed Zafi and Taro. Like, that guy was a beast. And Rodan lifted Godzilla up and dropped him on his nuts on one of those electric towers. And Rodan even picked up the Martha larvae and had her, hitch her out of him as they fought King Ghidorah. So I feel like Rodan against Birdon, 2 Showa guys would be a phenomenal fight. Now, of course, the Ultras are typically scale stronger. I'm not much of a power scaler. I think it's, kind of just all, just for fun, fluff. But I think, Birdon took out 2 Ultras, particular the guys that don't have their human host anymore, so Zafi and Taro. But I feel like that fight would scale towards Birdon, but I would be rooting for Rodan any day. I would, bet all my coconut ET on Rodan winning the fight against Birdon. I think the odds are a bit stacked against Rodan. Rodan technically got taken out by a volcano because he wanted to fly back and spend time with his wife, in the burning volcano. Hellish romance. But I think that, Rodan, you've seen him progress throughout the Showa era. Yeah, he didn't really win the fight against that fire dragon UFO, and we saw him a bit in Godzilla vs. Megalon in the opening, but by the time we get the Terror of Mechagodzilla, Rodan's brought up as one of the more destructive monsters against King Ghidorah and I don't know. I feel like maybe on a good day it would be a stalemate, but I would still be rooting for Rodan against Birdon, even though I know Birdon is ridiculously tough. So that's my number 3 spot, Showa Rodan against Showa Birdon. And for my number 2 spot...
Oh, Mr. TDF, I admire your work, but you're a buffoon.
Alien-Mugal, what are you doing here?
I can't believe I haven't picked the easiest option for a Godzilla vs. Ultraman monster battle. Well, let me tell you, it's not gonna be a monster. You see, I, Alien-Mugal III, I'm just gonna kick Alien-Magma-Boulder's ass. There you go. In any fight, I'd beat him fair and square.
Right.
And if you want to live, check out my video on the original Godzilla trilogy right here on Mr. TDF's channel, because we love to bully him.
So that's who your matchup would be, huh? Alright, fine. You know, we'll give Alien Mugal his little matchup spot. Whatever. Go check out Mugal's reviews on my channel for all kinds of Godzilla video essays. Without further ado, hopefully no more interruptions. For my number 2 spot, I'm gonna have to say Orga versus Tyrant or Braba. I don't really have a Tyrant figure. I have Destoroyah right here from Ultraman Z. There's Destoroyah and there's Ultraman Z. So bear with me, right? Against Orga. These two kind of fighting against each other. And the reason I have these particular 5 Godzilla monsters, Godzilla, Titanosaurus, King Ghidorah, Megalon, and Garrus next to Orga, is for a certain reason I'll disclose in a later video about one of my Godzilla game concepts. Teaser. But anyway, I think Orga could take the DNA of multiple monsters, right? He kind of tried doing it with Godzilla. The whole purpose of Orga was for the Millennials to finally make a last-ditch physical form on Earth's atmosphere by adapting to the strongest being on Earth, Godzilla. So I think that in a fight against, Braba, or the stronger Tyrant, or even Destoroyah, or I guess 5 King, any of the combination monsters, Orga would be at a disadvantage at first. However, Orga would adapt. He's one of the lesser known, adaptable Godzilla monsters. He may not be bright. He's more of just a brute, kind of lumbering. He's not like a rageful monster, but Orga's he's curious. So I feel like he would start losing the fight, but he would regenerate. Then he would bite Tyrant or Braba's arm, leg, get their DNA from all the monsters that compose them. Maybe some of that yacht pool energy too, or maybe just some of the hatred that, all those monster spirits that made Tyrant, are comprised of. So I feel like that could be how the fight goes, or maybe just start very basic with the Millennium UFO itself, fighting Tyrant when he's comatose and taking the DNA and then making a composite Orga that way. I don't know. Either way, I feel like there's a lot of cool ways you go about it. Having our boy Orga against any of the combination kaiju you see in the Ultraman pantheon. A lot of cool ways you could go about it. And I just feel like that that kind of fight would be a lot of fun, right? Combination monsters, great way to sell toys. And Ultraman's always been about the hybrid stuff, where borrowing powers from the 3rd generation era onwards, with Ginga and whatnot, going forward, and even Ultraman Zero and whatnot, all the way to Ultraman Z, and kind of ending with, I guess Ultraman Z was pretty much the last guy to do the kind of vulnerability in that aspect with having past extra powers. But with all that in mind, I feel like Orga being brought into that world would be amazing. I remember in Ultraman Trigger, they reused that one monster whose name is also Orga in Ultraman. It's like a dragon kind of guy that evolves. That was really cool. Orga and Ultraman, I feel like it'd be a great matchup. If Orga attacked any of these other monsters, who knows what's going to happen? The possibilities are endless. And unlike a lot of Ultraman monsters, he can be rapidly evolving without the need of a secondary transformation henshin item to help him. So with that in mind, I think Orga has a bit of an advantage in that point, but in terms of raw firepower, it would have to go to maybe Tyrant or Braba. But I don't know. I feel like that would be a great fight for discussion. Let me know in the comments. So that was my number 2 spot, Orga against one of the many hybrid monsters of Ultraman, whether it Tyrant or Braba, and so on and so forth. Now for my number 1 pick. This is Alien-Magma-Boulder. Looks like your connection's buffering. Look like a slideshow right now.
Internet servers. Yes, Mr. TDF, let me give my number 1 idea for an Ultraman Godzilla matchup.
So you just want to have your number 1 spot, huh? Alright, you give me your idea for your Ultraman and Godzilla matchup, then I'll do mine.
You see, I would pick Jet Jaguar against Sevenger. Especially the recent showcases of Jet Jaguar in their short films and Sevenger and Ultraman Z. I know that no matter what, my own magma boulders and my obsidian tears and my lava cakes are gonna be shaking for the outcome, because either way, I'm gonna cry if Sevenger wins or Jet Jaguar wins. I love these guys too much, and I don't want either of them to lose.
Alright, well, that was Alien-Magma-Boulder's own take on his Ultraman vs. Godzilla matchup pick. Go check out Alien-Magma's reviews also on my channel. He's another recurrent host for Ultraman video essays. Go check it out, link in description. But anyway, alright, no more interruptions. Finally, my number 1 spot, Mr. TDF's number one pick for this series of matchups. And who would it have to be? Oh, Zeno! Who would my matchup have to be? Well, Spacegodzilla against any of the Ultraman alien Seijin. Now by any, I just mean a good team up. Kind of like how you saw in Ultraman Moebius in the Ultraman Brothers movie, where it was Ultraman Moebius and the 6 Ultra Brothers. We had a whole team of alien Seijin. We had Knuckle, and of course, you know, they were trying to find the power of alien Yapul, the extra dimensional, pure hater, D1 hater, Yapul. It was Knuckle trying to find Yapul's power with the help of alien Zerub and alien Guts. And even, I think Alien Tempera was in the beginning, but he got taken out first. Those 4, I think like any team of 4 Ultraman aliens against Spacegodzilla would be a banger fight. Now why Spacegodzilla? Well, I feel like he's more like adaptability, well not adaptability, but his tactical mind. You know, like Crystalline's mind isn't for show, he's smart, he can, well, Godzilla says went through a black hole and came out a white hole. I think Spacegodzilla's pretty overpowered and like he's a lot of fun. I was even playing a PS4 Godzilla game recently and I was playing Spacegodzilla. I found a new meta of playing as Spacegodzilla in that game. You can just wipe out the generators in an instant if you use his terraforming crystal ability. So Spacegodzilla, like just from him and the Pipeworks games as well and anything else I've seen him in, supplementary material, comic books, just, I mean, I have my Spacegodzilla figure on my shelf, but, you know, he's an iconic Godzilla monster. There's a high chance he'll be in the next Godzilla and King Kong movie, Supernova, but Spacegodzilla, he has more like Ultraman Kaiju abilities. You know, he can make energy shields, he can, you know, has all kinds of like levitating beams, but he has his own appeal. Like, we don't see too many Kaiju that can terraform on the spot. That makes Spacegodzilla a unique threat. He could go to any Ultraman, you know, or alien Mephiles' planet or attack, you know, Spacegodzilla could be the aggressor for all I know. Or maybe they take a spin from that one IDW comic I found where it's like a Spacegodzilla only story. And we see how evil Spacegodzilla is in that, like, turns out he has his own little, like, kind of baby Godzilla Manila, but Spacegodzilla doesn't care, you know, about his DNA, making other small clones, he just crushes it, he kills it, so he's pure evil. So this guy isn't to be trifled with. I feel like if either, like I said, it was a team of 4 or more alien Seijin coming to find Spacegodzilla's power, his crystals or whatever, then that starts the fight, or they find him in space, have a space fight, and like Spacegodzilla's like fortress kind of thing, you know, his flying form. Or you could have it where Spacegodzilla's one that's invading these alien planets and he's causing all the trouble. Maybe he can fight, you know, alien Tempera, Mephiles, alien Rayblood. He can even fight some of the more, like alien Gregor. He can fight alien Barossa, or so on and so forth, man. The possibilities are endless. And I feel like since alien Seijin have the scale of a particular Ultraman, like, you know, they're just alien life forms that can not grow big and they can fight an Ultraman, they're pretty powerful, but I feel like, you know, let's see how like an Ace Killer, well, I mean, Ace Killer wasn't even that tough in his own episodes, but, you know, maybe an army of Baltons, alien Zerub, or, you know, just Dada would be, alien Dada would be a great matchup against Spacegodzilla too, a bit more of a wild card there. Or maybe, I don't know, Spacegodzilla goes through a wrong dimension, ends up in the Tiga Dina universe and he fights Kreloid. Or he fights, you know, the Spears, right? I always thought that the final spear creature in Ultraman Decker was inspired by Spacegodzilla anyway. But, you know what I mean, Spacegodzilla, he's a beast. He's Godzilla, but in space. So I feel like for more of a spacefaring, since most of Ultraman's main enemies are not from Earth, or well, from space, or another dimension like Yapul, or a weird thing like the Spears, or, you know, some kind of apocalyptic threat like we saw in Ultraman Gaia and Cosmos. The list goes on, but you know what I mean. Spacegodzilla against any of the Ultraman Seijin would be a phenomenal fight. So that's my number one pick. And thank you, the Alien Mugal III and Alien Magma-Boulder, for voicing their other thoughts and their particular matchups. But I've been Mr. TDF. Let me know in the comments what kind of fights you want to see, and I'll read them, and let's talk. Let's talk. Be sure to check out my other videos. I'll see you in the next one. Mr. TDF out. And remember, like and subscribe, because every day is a tokusatsu day. Check out my Patreon to support my channel. Even with just donating $1, you'll be helping out a lot. Link in the description and in the comments below. All donation goes towards helping the future of the channel, and you get your names in the credits for just $1. And here's all my past playlists of video essays for you to enjoy. Until next time,